This is a short video I want to do about how we are going to win this multiculturalism demographic replacement conflict that we've been placed in, particularly with regard to Islam, but also with the multicultural situation in general. It's the first in a series of videos that I want to do explaining each step of this process of winning, because it's already started. Briefly, the economic shocks that this coronavirus recession has forced on us are going to burst the debt bubble. They're going to bring down, they'll break the economies of our countries, and that in turn is likely to break the welfare states of our countries, and that in turn is likely to break down the state authorities of our countries. At that point, it will look as though we have lost, but it will in fact be the point at which we have won, because that will be when we start to arrange affairs for ourselves in a way that works for ourselves. Now, this coronavirus recession is therefore, in my view, the foreshot, the introduction, the overture to that process of winning. Now, what do these economic matters have to do with multiculturalism and the demographic replacement? Well, two reasons. Firstly, the reason it's happening is because the politicians are making it happen, because our state authorities are doing it, bringing in massive waves of immigration in order to grind us down and undermine us, and then pandering to them once they're here. Secondly, because we are letting those political authorities do it. We're letting them get away with it because we are thinking about our survival. That generally means our individual economic survival. And in a big state, welfare state, your survival means relies upon the state providing for you for so many things: healthcare, schooling, roads, or pensions, unemployment insurance, all kinds of things. If the welfare state breaks down, if the state authority breaks down as well, we will then be able to arrange things for ourselves in a way that works, and we will do so. It will seem frightening, but it needn't be. As long as we keep our heads, we can deal with it and find a much better, much more workable solution that reverses the problems that multiculturalism, and particularly the demographic problems that multiculturalism has created. Now, I want to go through each of those steps in future videos, but at the moment I just want to explain how bad the economic situation, the economic problems that this coronavirus recession is causing, how bad those problems are, because they're not getting reported adequately. It's almost as if organisations like the BBC can't handle it because they're just not reporting those problems in any kind of effective way. It's like they're trying to hide from it. Now, what I'm going to do is refer to American economic charts primarily, because the American economy is the driver of the world economy, and also it is the major currency. And secondly, because Western economies follow the pattern of American economies. If the American economy goes down, we tend to go down for the same reasons. So first, what I want to explain is the debt bubble. What do people mean when they refer to the debt bubble? When you hear that phrase getting talked about, what is it that people are saying? Well, first of all, here's a chart of US GDP. GDP is all the wealth that a country produces in a year. That's like your salary for the year, but for the whole country. Now, here's the chart of American GDP. Okay, you see it running from 1950 up to the present date, a nice, smooth, round, more or less continuous, fairly gentle curve. Now, here is the curve of total American debt, US debt since just before 1950. That's debts for households, the debt for states, the debt for the federal government, mortgage debt, the whole lot. See how those two curves have separated, have split apart. Debt has risen completely out of whack, completely out of any relationship with the wealth of America, the size of the economy. That can't go on forever. And what can't go on forever doesn't. At some stage, the gap between those two lines is going to meet it, or is going to be flattened. Those two curves, those two lines will meet, because that debt bubble will get squashed, it will get burst. And the coronavirus is the bullet that is being fired against that debt bubble. And here's how bad it is. A couple of charts I want to refer to. The first is the oil price chart. The oil price chart is often said to be the barometer for worldwide economic activity because the global economy, every country depends upon oil to trade, to travel, and to make things. Now, what you see here in the last couple of months is the oil price going from about $60 to about $20. So in 2 months, declining by 2/3. It will probably decline further. It's got further to fall. That is a sign of how stagnant, of how badly the economy, the world economy is doing at the moment in pretty much every country. Then I want to look at US unemployment figures. Now, there are two charts here. One is for US unemployment figures for the week before last and the week before that. Now, what this chart shows here, if you see the bumpy little red line going along the bottom, going from 1967 to the present day, that shows the number of people who signed on as unemployed starting in that week, every particular week. That's the numbers who signed on each week. And you see the line going vertical right up to the ceiling at the end. That is how many people signed on as unemployed in the last 2 weeks, or the week before last and the week before that. So the week before last, it was 6.6 or 6.648 million, and the week before that, it was 3.280 million. So that's a total of just about 10 million signing on as unemployed in those 2 weeks. Look at that chart. That is unprecedented. That's completely out of whack. Now it's absurd. Now, if you think that is bad, if you think that is unrealistic, that's just a blip, okay, the week that came after that, last week, was just the same. My guess is that 6.6 million is the maximum that American welfare authorities can register as unemployed in any week, because last week and the week before, 6.6 million registered as unemployed. And that means, now look at this chart. Again, bumping along the bottom, that is how many people were registered as unemployed in any week. And then right at the end, that number again, going up to the ceiling, that is how many people were registered as newly unemployed in the last 3 weeks. You're talking about nearly 17 million. 17 million is 2.5 times the maximum number who were unemployed, the maximum total of unemployed at the peak of the 2008 recession. Now that we have now in the last 3 weeks made unemployed 2.5 times that number. Countries don't recover quickly from that shock. Don't believe what you're hearing about a V-shaped recession. People are not going to get back to buying cars, getting a new smartphone every year, going on a cruise or going to restaurants. People are not going to be able to afford it. People are going to be scared. People are going to save their money. The economy will stay down, at which point governments will try to print their way out of that recession. I'll deal with that in a later video. What I want to say here, my point here is not to gloat, not to laugh about it. Well, sometimes you have to laugh about it because otherwise you cry. But it is to show that the breakdown has started. The debt bubble is bursting and there isn't really any way back. And this is the introduction, the overture to a breakdown of state authority, which will be very painful, very scary at the time, but it needn't be, because that will be the point at which we win. Because after that, if the state can't provide order, we will do it ourselves. And when we do it ourselves, we will do it in a way which works for us and is effective for us. And that means that we will win. Thank you.